So welcome everybody. This is our first men's health session. And I was just saying that really through COVID, it was a passion project to get the women's sisterhood of health program going. It's been amazing, just so empowering and rewarding. And so I wanted to launch the men's health program as well. And I just had a vision of this and I knew who my first speakers were going to be, and here they are. I'm so happy for you to join me, Dr. K and Noah. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah, so part of the Sisterhood of Health and the Men's Higher Health Programming is 3 pillars. It's mindset, movement, and micronutrients. And as a naturopathic doctor, I feel these areas are the foundations for health. And, you know, I may be in the Kool-Aid, for lack of a better word, of naturopathic medicine, but where do I go for my health? And it's really to mindset coaching. And so my colleague, Dr. K, or Yash, we graduated together. He's really built his practice around this mindset piece. So he brings a lot of amazing insight. Actually, when we were prepping this, I said, what are your top nutrients, Yash? And he doesn't even go there anymore. So, and I really believe that too. It's not about supplements. It's about nourishment, mind nourishment. So we're gonna have a great chat about mindful masculinity, which is a foundational conversation for health and life. And then Noah, a good friend of mine, he is an actor as well as a martial artist. And he got my partner, they grew up together, and he got him into Hapkido, which is a really amazing practice for, well, the premise is circle, flow, harmony. And many of you know I'm a yogi. I feel like Hapkido and martial arts is maybe more of a male accepted form of yoga, if that might be cliche to say, but it's I feel like we all need mindfulness-based practices. And so Hapkido and martial arts may be more of a gateway for men than women, although I have tried it as well. And so what we're going to do today is break off the session into 3 parts. So mindset, then movement, and then micronutrients. So our first speaker, we're going to go right into the mindset component. And so Dr. K is, as I said, a colleague of mine. We graduated together. He's researched extensively in this area of mindful masculinity. He's spoken on TEDx, and he's been featured on many podcasts, and he is a leadership consultant. So Yash, I'll just let you take the floor here and maybe give a little bit of an intro for yourself as well, and
Sure.
excited to hear your expertise.
Absolutely. I'm going to share my screen now, if that's okay with you, Tara.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Make sure it's working here. There we go. Okay. Well, let's start off by saying thank you to you, Tara. Really, really appreciate you taking the time and energy to bring us men together and to coordinate this event. And of course, for having the trust in me to facilitate this discussion. Of course, I want to acknowledge all of you as well, the men out there listening live and the recording, taking time out of your busy schedules to learn something that is of meaning to you. I feel like we don't do that enough as men, as a collective, so this is a really great opportunity. And so my goal for the next 15, 20 minutes is to empower each of you with practical and tangible tools and ideas so that you're able to step into your masculinity more mindfully. And perhaps a secondary goal to that is that you could share this with your sons or family members or even your friends. Before I dive fully into that, I just want to give you a brief background on myself and my company, because I think it's important that you understand the lens that I bring to this discussion. My company's name is Mindshift Leadership. We are a leadership development company. We believe leadership is both a privilege and also a responsibility. We believe everyone is a leader, but not everyone decides to practice leadership skills. And we do not see leadership as a title, but as a tool for capacity building for the individual, always first and foremost, and then for the collective, whatever that collective may be. We're talking business, we're talking family, we're talking community. And we believe the future of leadership must prioritize inclusion, mental health, and performance optimizations. And That is what we train you to do. My sister and I are co-founders of the company. Isla has a background in social justice and strategist. And of course, as Tara mentioned, my background is in medicine and performance. And together as brain-based executive coaches, we combine the neurosciences, performance psychology, strategic planning, and mindfulness techniques to empower you to lead better by thinking better. And that is exactly why I'm here today. It's for you. I'm here to help you step into the leader you were always meant to be by questioning, embracing, and expressing your whole self, essentially by stepping into your masculinity in a more mindful way. See, I've spent, we're going to date us ourselves here, Tara, but it's about just over 10 years working as a naturopathic doctor, as a health psychology teacher, and as a brain-based executive coach. And what all these roles have in common is that I help support people show up as the best version of themselves. At Mindshift, sure, we use a lot of modalities and methodologies, but really at the core of all the work we do is teaching the individual the transformational tool of self-coaching. I want you to learn how to speak to yourself and rewire your mind-body connection so that you're able to reframe your anxieties, your doubts, griefs, perhaps even regrets, so you can show up to your work, your relationships, and your life with hope, optimism, and resilience. And I have to say, after countless conversations with patients and clients, ranging from athletes to business professionals to end of life care, I've realized that without a strong and understood relationship with ourselves, we often suppress our own ability to grow and succeed as a leader. Again, whatever that definition may be, in the boardroom, in the court, on the court, or in your family unit. Because remember, everyone is a leader. But the reality is, clients don't come up to me and say, hey, coach, I want a strong and understood relationship with myself. Can you help? Everyone asks in their own way through their own examples of hurt and trauma and relationship issues and work issues. They say, hey, coach, how can I do better? And that's essentially what we're all asking ourselves if we're on the trajectory or the path of evolution and growth. And what I've come to realize through all these conversations is that by me telling you what to do or how to do it, the conversation is anemic at best. Because simply knowing how to do something doesn't necessarily mean that you'll do it, doesn't mean you'll get it done. The simple concept of when you know better, you do better is not entirely true. The tried, tested example of, does the smoker know that smoking is harmful to their health? Of course they do, but they still do it for other reasons. So it's not just knowledge, but we drink the Kool-Aid, as Tara said. We step into this concept that we must accumulate more knowledge in hopes of doing better. So what do? We listen to podcasts, we read books, we jump on webinars. Hello, here we are, and we collect information. But the question remains, what are you doing with all that information? We end up, as I say, drowning in knowledge, yet starving for wisdom. So how do we derive wisdom? How do we derive wisdom? Well, information is knowledge, but wisdom is the application of that knowledge in a personally meaningful and impactful way. It needs to represent the best of who you are and requires a special tool, a tool that all of us have access to, but most often we deny that tool. And that is asking yourself better questions. We can't look to other people to always provide the answers that can only come from within yourself. And we have to spend time with ourselves in a particular way, asking particular questions. And the one question that I ask everyone, regardless of what they walk in for, to do the work with me is, who is your best leader? And when I say who is your best leader, I'm speaking about the version of you that decides to show up to the challenge, even when it's easier not to. It's the version of you that commits to supporting others and yourself when perhaps you don't even know how to. It's the version of you that you feel most proud of. The version of you that makes you feel strong, capable, like a leader, and allows you to step into your masculinity in a mindful way. So I want to know who that person is. I want to know who your best leader is. And so maybe at the end of the presentation, or when Tara sends out some more information as a follow-up, she can send a link to an exercise, about a 15-20 minute visualization exercise that we get all of our leaders to do. In our workshops, it's about an hour and a half long, actually, but we've packaged it so that everyone can get a snippet to answer the question, not in sentences, not in paragraphs, but in 2 to 3 words. When I say, who is your best leader? You have 2 or 3 words that guide you, that acts as a compass, that aligns you to the values of who you are. Okay? So what does all this have to do with mindful masculinity? Well, the truth is today I say everything, but the reality is I wouldn't have always given that answer. And in fact, I see this topic of mindful masculinity chasing me down through repeated personal and professional experiences and lessons. I used to think, as I know many men do, that showing up as a man and as a leader meant I had to show up as, you know, what we always hear, the high performer, the hustler, the breadwinner, the problem solver, the tough as nails, get shit done kind of guy. And this attitude really persisted throughout everything I did, from my athletics to my academics to even my intimate relationships. And I experienced success in a lot of those domains, but when I couldn't identify with those labels, I felt like less of a man. And in fact, during my darkest periods, I was becoming very serious about harming myself because of this distorted lens that I had within my mentality. And the truth was that this mentality, that the incomplete lens that I carried, I could never accomplish enough to feel like I was enough of a man or enough of a leader. And much of this part of my personal story I cover in my TEDx talk, so I won't get into all the details for the sake of time here. But it's important to say that these distorted masculine descriptors are incomplete conversations at best. And though these descriptions are generally, again, accepted in our society, we need to take time to properly discuss them and dissect them and find what their meaning actually holds for each individual, for each man. Otherwise, we can go down a quite dangerous path. And most often what I see with the men that I work with is that when we use these masculine titles, and we use them unconsciously, if you will, or not mindfully, and we further examine them, we notice that there is a recognition that these titles are born out of trauma and unregulated stress responses. And so it's my personal and professional belief and experience that for each man to fully step into their masculinity, he needs to mindfully connect to himself through a much different conversation. Again, a conversation that helps balance his response to life's challenges, create a healthier identity for himself, and evolve his definition of what it means to step into masculinity. And of course, then learn how to lead himself first and foremost. Essentially, what I want to get across is that a man who cannot mindfully connect to his power and his pain cannot fully express the best of himself. A man who cannot mindfully connect to his power and his pain cannot fully express the best of himself. So for the sake of this conversation and to go a step deeper, I think it's important that we define terminology. We define ideas and concepts. And the place I want to start is by demystifying the term masculinity. And I'll bring up a definition in a second, but really when I say masculinity in this conversation, I'm referring to an energetic description that is present within all humans, not just men who identify with being a man. So to carry forward with this conversation, we must be willing to appreciate and accept that there is a masculine and feminine energy within all beings, again, independent of gender, identification, or sexual organs. This conversation is not based on a binary framework. And really, again, my experience shows me that the deeper an individual accepts and steps into this form of thinking, feeling, and behaving, the more closely they align with expressing a version of themselves that they feel most connected to. And again, this could be in life in total, it could be in business, and it could be in their relationships. So let's break down some of these terms. When I say mindful, I simply mean being aware, being conscious and aware, being present. When I say masculinity, surface speak here, I'm saying energetically, a masculine energy is a goal and structure oriented approach to each moment. So even in the moment of mindful breathing, let's call it breath work, it's I must breathe 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. And that is a goal and structured. You're doing the act, but are you fully embodying that act? And I would argue not if you don't have the femininity as part of that practice, which is an open and attuned approach to each moment energetically. So something as simple as breath work that everyone is prescribed, if we're not doing it in a balanced approach with femininity and masculinity, it becomes very goal structured. I must breathe and feel better and move on. But the openness, the attuneness to what am I feeling? How am I feeling? What's coming up for me? Am I able to be a part of that? That is when we start to encompass and then mindfully step into all of who we are. And of course, this is because we want to ultimately become leaders in our lives. And again, when I say leadership, as a tool for capacity building, you lead yourself, you influence others. Okay? And when we become aware of how we are expressing and identifying with our masculine and feminine energies, we are able to then, in concert, move into being more mindful, masculine beings. Again, has nothing to do with gender, has to do with the energy and the acceptance within ourselves. And I'd go one step further. It's not really for this talk, but I really would go one step further and say that great leadership, the transformation for yourself and for the people around you, is one of the greatest embodiments of balancing feminine and masculine energy. This is based on being able to have an and conversation. We're so used to it in our society to say this versus that. I want us to evolve our thinking to have a this and that conversation. This is hard, and I'm open to receiving the pain and working through it. And I'm going to take a step towards the better version of myself, and I'm going to do better in life. And I may fumble and feel the pain again, and on I go. That is the balance of this feminine and masculine energy. So as you see here, the feminine, you have all of these softer ideas and ideals, and on the masculine, you have these harder ideas and ideals like logic and focus and confident. But tell me, what honest man could be truly honest if he's not grounded or intuitive or receptive or compassionate or creative, right? Or vulnerable? How honest could you truly be? Or how much can you protect your family, let's say, if you're not compassionate and open to hearing what it is that they need protection from, right? How can you support the people around you or yourself if you're not open to receiving what it is that you need to be receptive to? So it's not a this versus that conversation. It's an and conversation that brings us forward and allows us to be the version of ourselves that we truly want to be, and has nothing to do with sex. And so there's a breakdown that I like to provide very quickly so that we can kind of put this all in one kind of framework and hopefully use it as we move forward in our day-to-day. And that is the mindful masculinity breakdown of clarity, courage, and community. Clarity, as I said off the top, your best leader. Who are you becoming? Who are you? Who do you want to become? Again, hopefully we'll be able to send out the link so you guys can do the visualization. Courage. I want you to have the courage to have compassion for yourself, we're going to start with, and boundaries. I want you to have the compassion to hear your pain and be boundaried within that pain. I want you to have the courage to step into the best of who you are, because that's truly a very masculine energy. But anyone who's actually going to move forward to do things in life is going to hit a comfort zone. They're going to stumble and fall. There must be compassion for that, because that is where you build. On maybe in another day, another topic, we can talk about the science, the brain science of compassion, of self-compassion in particular, and how that unlocks and opens performance unlike anything we've seen in the past. But now we're in a very blessed time where the science is catching up. So I want you to have the courage to sit there and ask yourself the questions I'm about to show you, to come up with answers that are most relevant for you. And then community. I want you to find like-minded alliance. I want you to, obviously, men with men like this is an incredible thing. But maybe one has to start with you know, a family member who's not male, right? Maybe you have to start somewhere, just to have the courage to step into the truth of your pain and your power. Exercise, again, maybe a screenshot will be necessary here. Maybe I can send these questions later. This is just a snapshot to the bigger exercise, but clarity, questions. Remember, we have to ask ourselves the questions to step into the version of ourselves we are most aligned and proud of. Who is your best leader? Who do I choose to become? How do I show up differently as the best version of me? Right? When you're actually in your groove, you feel like you're doing the thing that you need to be doing the way you need to be doing it. How does that change when you're around different people? Right? Clarity, have the compass. Courage. I want you to have the courage to step into yourself. Am I aware of my inner dialogue? Am I aware of my narrative, the story I tell myself? Are you aware of the positive story, and are you aware of, kind of, excuse my French here again, but the shit story that you tell yourself? Are you going to sit in that space and allow yourself to have that conversation? My pattern of behaviors. Remember, behavior is what I can hear and what I can see. I can't read your mind, right? I want you to ask yourself, do I have the courage to analyze what I say and what I do? And then again, how do I change around different people as the best version of myself or otherwise? And then community, do I reach out to others that have like-minded values? Do I have that support network? Where is my support network? And others that can help me grow into a better version of myself. These are the type of questions we must be asking ourselves. And there's obviously many more, but remember, off the top, really the only thing I do is teach people, in this case men, how to ask themselves better questions, to self-coach and to go internal so that they become aligned, so they can move externally in a more mindful and empowered way. And so if you go to this website, mindshiftleadership.com, you'll land on the visualization that I keep talking about, to be able to come up with your own words. It comes with a guidebook and again, an MP3 that you can listen to. And I'm going to end on this slide and say, look, in life, we're given a bunch of information, like I said. Hopefully some of it, including today, will inspire you, but you will not move on to transformation from there. There must be integration. Again, mind-body connection, rewiring of our systems, of our nervous systems, of our consciousness, for there to be true transformation. And this is an ongoing practice. I shared my story, my vulnerability, where I came from, and there's many more where that came from. But the idea, again, is if the information inspires you, take the time to integrate before we expect to transform. But when we do, that's when I fully think you'll step into your masculinity as a whole self, more full, more mindfully embracing both the feminine and masculine energies that live within all of us. I hope that was useful, and I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Yash. That was really amazing listening to everything. And absolutely, we will be sending out the link. And I'm sure people jotted down this website to go and check out those amazing resources. Awesome. I apologize for my camera going in and out. I guess the Wi-Fi is spotty where I am. So again, thank you, Yash. And just, you are such a wealth of knowledge in the mindset area, which is, as I said, a foundation for higher health. And we need more of a conversation around this area so that we can step into our full being. And so now I'd like to move into the movement portion of today. And so just a little bit more background on Noah Danby. So Noah, give us a wave.
Yeah, sure. Hey guys, how are you?
Hi. So Noah is a performer and a martial artist. He's going to teach us why the perfect punch is a life skill, which does sound a little surprising being in the health sphere, the holistic health sphere, but it's not the punch you may think. So Noah Danby is an award-winning performer who has acted in TV series to major motion pictures over the last 2 decades. He is always working on personal improvement, and he splits his time honing his craft as an actor while also training at a high level in martial arts, specifically Hapkido. Noah has discovered over the years the synergies between acting and martial arts, and how the discipline required for each can be applied to everyday life for success, happiness, and health for all men. So I'll pass it over to you, Noah. And I actually love the synergies between you and Yash here in terms of well, courage and clarity, and just that's something I always get that sense from you. And I know that you would master his exercise on visualization as a leader. So I'd love to know what came up for you when hearing what he said.
100%, Yash. What a wonderful presentation. It really resonated. I loved it. All of that, what you were saying, and I don't know if you've ever read Joseph Campbell at all. Have you ever read Joseph?
I've read some of his work, yes.
Yeah, it's amazing and very relatable to what you're talking about the hero's journey and being a leader. Wow, I wish I could just sit and ponder what you were talking about, but I'll go back and listen to this again. 100%. Fascinating. Anyway, so I guess to move forward, I have to talk a little bit about myself, which I don't have a problem doing. I was always very athletic. Being an athlete, going out through high school, I played football, did track, played basketball, rugby, and ended up being a wrestler, Greco-Roman and freestyle at a national level, and went to train at Guelph University with two-time Olympian Doug Cox. But my passion was always theater arts and performance, so I transferred over to Ryerson. But with that, I took that desire to move forward in combative arts, and I knew it would nurture my performance as well. And I ended up taking quite a long time looking for the school that was right for me. And I found it in a school called CFH Studios. And after many, many years of trying different martial arts along the way, I've always stuck with this school. And whenever I'm in Toronto, this is where I train. This is my home. It's my church. And I'll begin by telling a story about how after one day of training, a few of us went to grab a bite, as we often do. And we got to talking about training and how lucky we are to have the teacher that we have, and how every day we walk out of that school better than when we went in. And now one of my good friends and training partners, who is also a bit of a warrior poet, he started breaking down what sets us apart from other martial arts studios. And I'll never forget his breakdown, because he started saying that how there's nothing in the world of sports that has the distinct finality of a knockout punch. You can take those scorecards and chuck them in the garbage. Judges' opinions are rendered worthless. And the fighter who scored that knockout has this sort of insurmountable feeling of controlling his or her own destiny without any outside interference. And funny enough, out of all the skills necessary for a fighter to be successful, knockout power seems to be considered either a gift from God or something that you're just born with. But truth be told, knockout power is not relegated to those who've been touched with divine intervention. Knockout power is something that can actually be taught. So this is key, because where I train, we explore the fundamentals and mechanics necessary to generate peak performance in power. Power that is actually transferable to all other sports. So whether you're punching or kicking, or taking a slap shot, swinging a golf club, or smashing a tennis ball, if striking is involved, we specialize in teaching how to improve your power output. And we achieve this through physical fitness, flexibility, and a rigorous strength practice that consists of very primal natural movements that don't compromise your body and its joints. You have to have longevity, and that's important, especially for me. I want to be doing this for the rest of my life. Now, it doesn't mean that sometimes you're not going to be sore or it's going to be difficult. For me, it was especially difficult because I was forced to unlearn years of bad habits. But as soon as I got out of my own way, the juice was absolutely worth the squeeze, as they say. Because while training, I not only improved my physical prowess, but also my intuition, subconscious thinking, and instincts, by having my body work in unison with my mind in this very, very high stakes environment that I train in. It also created a sort of an attentiveness in me and a focus. And with that, I could almost feel these new connections firing in my brain as I combined movement and thought. Now, one could walk into any martial arts studio, sign up, perform a kata, get your black belt in 3 to 5 years, repeatedly hit a punching bag, build up your confidence, and you'll become more sensitive to your environment, and you'll have a better awareness to your surroundings. And I won't knock that. But my training has created a confidence in me born out of demonstrated ability. And because of that, I don't know, I innately relate better to others. I feel alive, and I feel like I've been given this advantage in making determinations and decisions, not only in the art of combat, but with everyday dealings in my life. So for me, CFH Studios has been crucial, not only as my growth as an artist, but also as a human being. The cognizant gains that I've achieved and the attentiveness that I now can transfer over into all aspects of my life and career are insurmountable. Now, I'm not going to say that what I've accomplished as a performer is important, or that martial artists like Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, or Conor McGregor are important, but rather that martial arts are important. In fact, I dare say that martial arts taught properly are key for the future development and well-being of our civilization. That's how strongly I believe in it. And there you go. That's my spiel.
Yeah, and Noah, so the Circle Flow Harmony is the tagline or the premise with CFH Studios. And so
Yes.
can you speak to how that name came about?
Well, that is derived from the word Hapkido. Hapkido actually means circle flow harmony in Korean, and it's a Korean-based martial art that evolved from Aikido, which is Japanese, and you can go through the history, but I believe it all came from a Chinese jiu-jitsu in the beginning. And that came from a European martial art, which martial arts is art for I think it derives from the god of war, Mars, martial. Anyway.
Well, I just, it just resonates with me, Circle Flow Harmony, and has so many applications to mindset and the transfer of energy and stepping into ourselves. And Yash, you said something about your pain and your power. You have to marry the two, and you can't really be your full self until you have gone through both aspects of that. And Noah, just that applies to Hapkido and martial arts. And I've seen some of the videos of the strength that you guys put in moves, but it's not about the strength that we might identify with. It's the transfer of energy underneath. And
yes. And you've got to start off, you got to realize you're not going to have it right away. It's something that it takes time, practice, and commitment, all those sort of things. But it's definitely worthwhile for me. And Tara, I'm a bit of a yogi too, so
I know that was terrible. Sorry. I actually have to say I'm a bit nervous speaking to a platform of men here. So, I'm leaning on you guys.
Sure, yeah, but I love yoga and yoga, especially like, I wish I had time to practice everything. But the really cool thing about CFH Studios that we'll take some practices from yoga, and we integrate it with our training. You'll find that they're very similar, and if done properly.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that and for allowing me to say that, to retract that comment.
Eric, can I jump in and ask a question of Noah?
Yeah.
Kind of back to what you just brought up again, Tara, about, I said, like a man who cannot mindfully connect to his power and his pain, cannot fully express the best of himself. So I was just curious, Noah, being in a contact sport, you can even maybe top level call an aggressive sport, how do you see the philosophy? Because I agree with everything you said. I love everything you said. How would you speak to the philosophy of the softer side of the humanity playing in the martial arts, like the softer side of the compassion or the open and intuitiveness, the ability to sit with your pain, because doing anything, again, that takes you to that level of skill, you're going to fall flat on your face multiple times. So can you speak to that a little bit? I think that would be really cool hearing it from someone that does the work you do.
Yeah. So without asking you to repeat it, I think the first thing that came to my mind was a lot of our tension and a lot of our a lot of that tension and inexperience comes from fear. I think fear is the mind killer. Have you guys seen the new Dune trailer? Looks amazing. But that's a very famous line from that book. Fear is the mind killer. And um, not that I'm telling everyone to go out and be in a physical situation that might cause them harm, but to know when you're safe is a big part of self-defense. Knowing and having the confidence to know when you don't have to react. That would sort of go side and side with the softer side of martial arts. Whereas, I hope that is clear. For instance, for me, to go along with my performance in acting as a performer, you always have to have a side job. And for years, for over 26 years, I've done privatized security or security, and I've obviously been in many altercations, and knowing when I'm safe and knowing when I have to react or don't react has been key for my survival in that industry, especially.
And maybe just even like more micro of an example of when you do fall on your face, so to speak, in such a high stake and energetically masculine arena. How does one or the group of trainers or team support that individual so that they can maybe learn and grow from a deeper place than just like slap on the bum, get back up, do it again type thing. Like,
Right.
is there conversation in the studio around things like that?
Well, it's if one's willing to risk, right, and if one's willing to take a bump to learn and grow, I think that is also key. I mean, you're not going to die. You're going to fall down. You're going to get back up, and there's always encouragement with a group of people, with a tight knit group. Um, eh, eh, that's very helpful. One of the physical things about circle flow harmony and Hapkido is to be calm. Now, a lot of different martial arts studios will say, or even boxing trainers and so on and so forth will say, you've got to relax. You've got to be relaxed. I don't think we necessarily promote that. I see what they're saying, but I feel like the word they want to use and communicate with is calm. You want to be calm, and it all starts with your heart. So that's why when I said like fear is the mind killer, if you start to feel that fear, not that everybody, you're going to feel it, but if you can calm your heart and then that'll resonate throughout your body. Because when you are striking or performing any sort of physical activity, you're going to tense up. And if your heart is tense, then everything else will tense right away, and you won't be able to perform as well as you could.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
love it.
I'd like to interject there too, that it's when Yashi said when you fall on your face or whatnot in Hapkido, I just pictured you, Noah, maybe in an audition, or us or me on this presentation right now, that we whatever's on the mat, and for yoga, what's on your mat in yoga is your representation or like a symbol for your everyday life. And so I think it's really neat, the parallels between mindset on the mat, performing, but in our everyday life with each other. So it's really neat hearing the two of you speak, actually.
One of the really cool things, like I came across a director who came up to me one time after I did a take, and I threw it out there. I was, to be an actor, you've got to be a little bit courageous, and you've got to be able to just put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got to be able to hear somebody else come up to you and say, no, I want this, and you have to be able to adapt to what they want. And he came up to me and he said, give me this, give me this, give me this, give me this, give me this. Yeah, it was basically about 5 or 6 things that he was asking me to do. And I know without a doubt that CFH Studios gave me this sort of ability to take those things, not worry about if I could get them all, but basically apply them one by one in a short amount of time, and then and give it my best shot. And for that moment, I'll never forget. Like, I was able to give pretty much everything he asked for in the next take, and he was so happy. Boom, moving on, he said. And to have that confidence, that came right from CFH Studios.
Tara, just sorry, I just want to, because when you and I first chatted about this whole thing, and
are you going to go into confidence?
I am.
I was just about to ask you to do that.
Okay. Yeah, because I was telling, so a lot of my longer presentations are definitely one-on-one work or group work when we have space and time. I like to break down so many words that people use, and Noah used confidence, and I was thinking, sounds like you had a lot of confidence, and then boom, you said it. So I love that. But again, confidence, like the root of it is intense trust. Right. So to have intense trust in yourself. So when people say to me, I don't have enough confidence, I always joke back. I'm like, no, you do. It's just you have the wrong kind of confidence. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, you have intense trust that you're going to mess up something, or you have intense trust that you're not going to do it the way you think you really want to. And so the example I give Tara is like, if Tara and I go out all the time and I show up 15 minutes late every time, Tara's going to have confidence that I'm going to show up late. But if I show up 10 minutes early and get the first drink settled for her, she's going to have confidence that I'm going to show up 10 minutes early. So it's just an intense trust. And with the practice, it sounds like Noah, you're speaking to, with that calm heart, knowing how to take in the environment, being open and attuned, again, really, to that environment, having that calm heart, then to be able to snap in, again, balancing the feminine and masculine, the confidence grows because you start to have intense trust in yourself to handle it. And it doesn't have to be, it's more improv after a while, right? Because it's not just, I'm always practicing for this. No, you're like, no, I'm practicing to be open and aware, and then to make my move when it's necessary. And so that was just a beautiful use of the word confidence in that situation.
Yeah. And what I really pick up on, even from your intro, you just have such a presence, and it's like you're through acting, and yeah, absolutely, through the martial arts and yoga, it's learning to be authentic and to just be yourself. And so the word that came up for me while you were speaking and applying what martial arts is to performing in just everyday life is honesty. It's just like, I am who I am, I'm right here. And that is mindful masculinity, right, Yash?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You gotta be clear on what that is, or at least clear on wanting to work through it to understand it deeper. and then
Yeah.
Nothing, confidence in the direction people want will never come without the courage to make moves and to do things and to figure it out. And then you build an inventory of experiences through that.
Yeah, I really like that we've introduced this conversation here to then do the exercise, because I think opening the dialogue in this way around this will make the exercise even better. And I really do hope everybody logs in and works through the exercise. So we'll send that out after.
Even at my acting school, which is separate from CFH Studios, but I've also shared with my acting coach, like, the things that we focus on there, and he loves it. But he's always said, the thing that sets you, that makes you different from everybody else, is you. So you are what's different. You're what's unique. So just be you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, again, I think I said that once you get out of your own way and just be yourself, then you can move forward.
Well, listening to you guys speak is helping me get out of my way of not being.
Terry, you're great. Come on.
No, it's really amazing listening to you two speak and converse on this topic. So, and I made a comment in the chat line. It's not about gender, right? We need to channel both masculinity and femininity.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move into my confidence of of the micronutrients that I would recommend for men. And so I just want to share this screen properly here. Actually, when we talk about I love that picture of you, Noah, and just the transfer of energy. It's much deeper than what you see in the visual. Okay, so men's higher health. And I can't, hang on one second. Can't see the lower. Are you guys there? What do you see on the screen?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I see you.
See faces, yep.
So I'm trying to, now do you see the presentation?
No.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Hang on. Okay. Share. I forgot to click the share screen part.
Right.
Okay, there we go. So I need this. This is my. Okay, so when we talk about, now can you see?
Not yet.
Really? Do. Fill the gap. Only, okay. Yash, this is what I was nervous about when we practiced our screen sharing. Now I can't. Oh, there we go. Okay, this will come
You got
up.
this. There you go. It's coming up.
My
Oh,
face
wow.
is going red.
I know that place. Oh.
Okay, so men's higher health. These are the most common things that people come to my office for. And okay, so number one, immune health, and especially key right now. And I've found over the years, so I've had my office for about 7 years. I've been in practice for 10. I feel like I have almost a 50-50 split of male to female clients. And I really think it's the IV therapy that brings men in for particularly immune health and stamina and performance. And obviously there's so many benefits to intravenous vitamin therapy. I feel like men can identify with IV as part of their health rather than coming in and sitting and talking about diet, even though that is important, diet and mindset. So I found that IV is the gateway into deeper conversation on all levels of health. So I'd love to actually get you both into my lounge and continue this conversation. Okay, low energy, brain and mood health. So brain fog is one of the #1 symptoms both men and women talk about. And they don't come in saying brain fog. It's just through our conversation. Oh, and I'm really feeling foggy mentally. So depression, anxiety, ADHD, insomnia, and restless sleep. Then digestive health, a lot of male clients will, this is the gateway to come in to see me. So constipation, diarrhea, colitis, and GERD. Libido and hormone health. It's not, libido isn't mentioned at the start. It comes in as we dive deeper into conversation. Then cardiovascular health, so blood pressure, cholesterol, and mostly it's overall performance, wanting to get that extra edge and to be your best self. So that's what I call higher health. And now I'll add mindful and more mindful masculinity. So my top 5 micronutrient foundations I'm going to go through. And just as a disclaimer, this is just for informational purposes only. And there are many things that apply to personalized medicine. So what I talk about here today, if any questions come up, please reach out individually. And so micronutrients is, I've built my practice around this, just refueling micronutrients. And interestingly, I go first to non-food items. So to mindset, your mental health is the first and foremost. And so how are you nourishing your brain, your hobbies, your desires? That is #1 for nourishment. Food, I mean, it's very, what you put into your body really does matter. So food-based nutrition. And then I put IV therapy before supportive supplementation, because there's an element of sitting and receiving the treatment and receiving the basics. So we are trillions of cells, and every cell in our body uses vitamin C, magnesium, your B vitamins, trace minerals. It's not sexy. They're very simple micronutrients. And so I guess the delivery method for IV is what makes it stand out. So getting more micronutrients into the bloodstream so your cells have more nutrients to pull from. We are limited by what we can get orally. So I always give the example of vitamin C. You take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C orally, it goes all through your digestive system. Only 200 milligrams of that 1,000 milligrams is going to get to your bloodstream. So if you have trillions of cells in your body all using vitamin C, you just can't get enough through supplementation and through food. So we need more. but food is absolutely first, and non-food is even before that. So your mindset. Now we'll go into my 5 foundational micronutrients, and any naturopath or any holistic health practitioner could pick a different 5. So these are the 5 I've picked for today that I think are most important. Number 1, hands down, magnesium, and I really like the form bisglycinate. So there's different forms of magnesium, from threonate to oxide to citrate, and I just feel as a baseline, magnesium bisglycinate is the most absorbable form. Obviously, there's others when it comes down, if you want more focused brain health or calming, I would go to magnesium threonate, which crosses the blood-brain barrier. But overall, I would take home message, look, if you have magnesium at home, look at the label and see what form of magnesium are you taking. So magnesium is really important for energy. It's a key cofactor in all enzymes and cellular function, and it helps convert food into energy in our cells. Protein, it helps create new proteins from amino acids. It's really important for genetic health, so it repairs our DNA and RNA, which is really important for anti-aging. And it's obviously important for muscle health, so contraction, relaxation, and repair of muscles. It helps regulate our neurotransmitters, really important. And magnesium is fuel for your glutathione pathway, which is your master antioxidant pathway in your body. So talk about anti-aging for men's health. You want your glutathione pathway working really well. We're exposed to so many oxidants in our daily life, which deplete our glutathione pathway. And the fuel that keeps it going is magnesium. So think of magnesium as an antioxidant support, and along that line, it helps to reduce inflammation. So it can reduce your CRP, which is a measure of inflammation. And obviously, if we're quenching free radicals and oxidants, we're decreasing inflammation. Oh, good. Thank you, Noah. I love it. That's a good one. Can prep. Awesome. Vitamin D3, I put a little, just side note, make sure you get emulsified form. So this is usually in liquid form, meaning it's broken down into smaller, emulsified means it's broken down into smaller fat molecules. So it improves the absorption of the D3. And vitamin D is a fat soluble nutrient in itself. So when people, you just make sure when you're taking your vitamin D, you're taking it with fat-based food and that it's emulsified, and you'll absorb it better. So fat-based food would be avocado or nut butter or, eggs. Just make sure you're having your D3 with food, not just an apple. Make sure it has fat in the meal you're having, and you'll absorb it better. So vitamin D is really important for 3 main areas. So surprisingly, vitamin D is important for your muscle. It's an essential role in the development of skeletal muscle. It optimizes muscle strength and performance. In terms of testosterone, the male reproductive system is a target for vitamin D. And so basically the top of the food chain of your hormones is cholesterol, and vitamin D is a cholesterol molecule. So think of vitamin D to help testosterone, which plays a crucial role in bone mass, muscle strength, fat distribution, and libido. So interestingly, one study found that men taking vitamin D supplementation had higher testosterone levels than the placebo group. So I was going to ask you a question. Put in the chat if you're taking vitamin D, or if you're not, you didn't know about these benefits and you're going to take vitamin D going forward. But Noah, do you have vitamin D there? Yeah. Is it emulsified? Okay, and then mood. Vitamin D is so crucial for our mood health. There's just continuous evidence to show the association between. So is it emulsified? I don't know. You might want it to be gel. Check if it's gel caps. Open. Yeah. Unmute I'm gonna unmute you. Oh, good. Okay. So see, that's a capsule, but it's gel. It's emulsified within the gel cap. But if you have a tablet of vitamin D, that's not ideal. Okay. So now is the time as we move into fall season as well, where the sun, we don't have as much sun exposure. And so it's really important to supplement D, not only for your immune health. Oh my gosh, I didn't put immune there. It's key for immune, but also for your mood health. Okay. So zinc bisglycinate, how are we for time? We're getting close. Okay, I won't be able to get into the labs, but I'll include that in our follow-up email that goes out, but we'll just cover the 5 micronutrients. So zinc bisglycinate, think of zinc for immune health. It minimizes cold and flu symptoms. It boosts sexual health and testosterone levels. So think of zinc for fertility, the potency and motility and quality of your sperm, and also for libido. It reduces your risk of prostate cancer. So prostate has more zinc than any other tissue in our body except for bone, actually. And zinc is important for skin health and acne. So, male baldness, it's actually a cofactor in the pathway. So that links also to testosterone. And then thyroid and metabolism, zinc is a cofactor in that pathway. And back to cellular health, zinc is really a key mineral involved in cellular repair. So pumpkin seeds actually are food rich in zinc. Oh, great, Noah. You've got, and you've got all the essentials. I really want to highlight the importance of digestive enzymes. I used to think it was too basic to prescribe digestive enzymes as a naturopathic doctor, that people are not coming in to see me to say, oh, take a digestive enzyme. But then I learned the importance of digestive enzymes for hormone production and how that key foundational aspect of our digestion is so important for nutrient absorption. So think of digestive enzymes not only for digestion, but also to help absorb fats and cholesterols and to help absorb the building blocks of our hormones. And so as we age, I think one of our main concerns is hormone imbalances. And so digestive enzymes has a role to play in maintaining hormone balance. And it's just so basic for a building block to something so important. And lastly, omega-3. So fish oil is, the main benefit is anti-inflammatory action, really important for muscle recovery and repair. It's also essential for mood health, brain health. So omega-3 helps to regulate our neurotransmitters, which has a role to play in all of the main brain and mood concerns I see men and women for. It's really important for cardiovascular health. So in terms of your rhythm and your blood pressure, it also decreases risk of cardiovascular disease. And fish oil also has a role to play in sperm quality. So those are my top 5. And I'll quiz you after on what those 5 are. Noah, you can remember Noah holding up his pantry, his medical or medicine cabinet. And Yash doesn't have anything in his medicine cabinet. It's all mindset there.
I was actually going to say, if I didn't have to run downstairs to go grab it, I would like tit for tat with Noah. I'd be like, I got it too.
Nice, I love it. There is a role to play for mindset and micronutrients, and then also we brought in the movement component. So I'm conscious of everyone's time, and there's going to be great follow-up information coming out with this. A big thank you to both Dr. K and Noah. Honestly, I'm honored that you guys just without hesitation agreed to be part of this. So thank you very much.
Kara, can I ask you one question? I have all the vitamins here, but I do know that when I come and get a drip from you, that, I feel it that night. And the first reaction I have is that the sleep that I have that night is so amazing. So why is that?
You know what? That's actually opposite to what some people say. They feel too energized after having the IV the day of. But then they note they're not as tired the next day.
And I don't feel tired, but when I go to bed, it's a good, 8-hour sleep, and it's a deep sleep.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I think that speaks to getting the micronutrients into your bloodstream so that that your cells are happy and they're working as they should. So you've probably done a lot of groundwork that to have that treatment, the micronutrients are absorbed in. But some people, it's like if you were to just drink a lot of water, all of a sudden your body doesn't know what to do with it. You're going to pee it out, right? But if you keep drinking that same amount of water, you're going to start to use it. So maybe your body is more attuned through all your health practices to absorb those micronutrients in, and your cells are happy. Whereas other people, it might be too much just in the start, but then their body starts to know what to do with it.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So I'd say that's a sign of health that you have a really good sleep the night of having an IV treatment. Yeah.
Peak for
That is higher health and mindful masculinity.
That's right.
any closing words from you, Yash?
Just thank you so much. It's such an important conversation. And like I said, after clarity and courage comes community. So we need more of this. We need space for men to be all that they are, and support one another. So thank you for that.
I love that. That's a great way to end, because the reason I started the Sisterhood of Health and this Men's Higher Health is because I've seen firsthand the value of community and people coming in and feeling cared for, and that we all need to have conversations like this. So the Men's Higher Health platform is meant to support these conversations and to bring community together. So great way to end off.
Yash, I can't wait to learn more about you, man. This has been really cool for me.
Yeah, likewise. I got to get myself down into Toronto then.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks.